comics are my shtick. My name is Blake T. Wild, and on this week's episode, some movie stuff, a lot of comic book movie related items of interest to discuss. And before we get started, as always, this episode is brought to you by my Patreon page and my Etsy shop, patreon.com/Smokey's videos, where you get early access to videos when available, behind the scenes stuff on making comics. You get access to my comics, The Custodians, Agents of Cross, issues 1 and 2, and Destructo Boy, issues 1 through 5 are serialized on there weekly. Movie commentaries and reviews, essentially movie reviews, called Pop Pop Popcorn. I just did X-Men Origins Wolverine. BlakeTWild.etsy.com is my Etsy shop. I have the physical copies of Destructo Boy on there, and yeah, it really helps me out. Now you may be wondering, why did I skip a week? That is because I felt awful. I have been just not doing great. I've riddled myself with anxiety regarding... There's a car alarm going off. It has been the loudest day. I wasn't sure if I was going to even be able to record. There's fucking planes flying overhead. Earlier there was like 15 fucking cop cars. Whoop, 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 whoop. I don't even know what the fuck they were doing. They sounded like birds doing mating calls to each other. I don't know what the fuck that was about. But yeah, I have just riddled myself with anxiety regarding getting the Custodians, Agents of Cross issues done. I'm coloring and lettering issue 2. I am inking issue 3. I'm penciling issue 6. All at the same time, all by myself. And it's just a general anxiety, I'm sure plenty of people can relate, of just feeling and just that I'm not getting enough done, that I'm not doing enough, that I'm wasting time, and essentially my life by not getting this completed. And it's just been really fucking me up. I've had just like the past month and a half, 2 months, I've just been sleeping horribly. I can't get to sleep because when I finally lay down in bed, I'm sure more people can relate to this. Once you start laying down in bed, you really start, your mind, there's just no other stimulus, and your mind just starts going to all these directions. Everything just bubbles up to the surface that you've been suppressing all day with other activities. So that has been causing me issues as well, and that has not been fun. And last week, I don't know, I was staring at the screen too long or something. I got these, because I'm a fucking nerd and a huge mark for anything Fallout related. I bought these Vault Tech Industries branded. Look, they come with a little cleaning handkerchief and a little Fallout themed bag with the Vault Boy on it. Oops, I hit my mic. I bought these. These are Gunner glasses. I think I look pretty good. But they are, like, anti-blue light or whatever. They're really tight on my head by my ears. So that may have been a issue, too. But I was wearing those. Try and help with, working on the computer so much. Getting on the pages for the Custodians and then video editing. And that combined with drawing and inking the pages and just being sort of like a general, like, a lot of, oh my god, I have so much fucking tension in my shoulders, it hurts. It's ridiculous. My whole neck, my shoulders were hurting last week, and then my head was just killing me all week, so I barely went on the computer after a certain point. And I couldn't handle the lights either. I was having to sit in here with like this overhead light facing the other way, like it was a singular desk light, and I was a 1940s noir detective staying at the office late at night. But it was atrocious is how I felt. So that's what I've been dealing with. Interesting thing here, I'm going to get even weirder with the discussion. I'm going to get a little occulty. So last night, my wife and I were getting ready for bed, and I sleep on. So I sleep on right here, and then she sleeps right here on this side of the bed. Essentially, she's on the left, I'm on the right. Right? Yeah, you gotta make the L with your fingers. Um, and so I laid down on her side real quick and cuddled her, and I was like, "Oh, hey, you want me to sleep on this side so I can like hold you overnight, because I usually fall asleep better on my left." So I kind of I end up facing away from my wife every night. And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And so we, moved some stuff, our chargers for our phones around, set our alarms, blah blah, moved the pillows back and forth, and then we got ready for bed. And so I'm laying on the left, I'm cuddling my wife, and she is lying on the right side, my side of the bed usually. And turn the lights off, go to sleep, or try to go to sleep, And then I notice that she starts like kind of breathing heavier. And I'm like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And she starts telling me that she just got really anxious all of a sudden. And she just, like, all this anxiety just overcame her. I felt fine. I was feeling pretty good, which is weird, right? Especially after the whole lead up of what I just told you regarding my mental state. I was feeling pretty fine. And then the thought crossed my mind, because I'm into weird stuff, like paranormal stuff and supernatural stuff. And I don't know why I started doing my Jack Nicholson impression, but that's what I'm doing right now. Anyway, then just the first thing that pops into my mind as soon as she said that, very first thought was my anxious, bad emotions that I've been experiencing for the past however long, from going to sleep just feeling awful, are somehow like planted in that side of the bed, while she's pretty much able to go to sleep pretty quickly. She's never said that she's had issues like this before, definitely not as much as I have. So seemingly her better emotions and more calmed, sort of relaxing aura are kind of planted on her side of the bed, right? You see where I'm going with this? So when she laid on my side of the bed, she started feeling those residual emotions and that energy that my corporeal being has left there in some sort of status state of the kind of like inward collective consciousness of our home. And I didn't want to say that because I was like, she's going to think I'm even crazier than she already knows I am. So I suggested, "Hey, you want to just switch back to the other side?" Because then my brain started freaking out. I was like, "Okay, well, what happens if she stays in my side of the bed with my residual energy that is like causing her anxiety? And what if I stay on her side of the bed? Like, we're gonna fuck each other up somehow." So I was like, "Let's just switch. It's fine. It's okay." I don't know where I was going with this. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to talk to somebody about that. I was trying to speak to a friend today about that very same conversation I just held with you, viewer, but we got interrupted and it never came back up, so I didn't want to be like, "Hey, so anyway, that story I was telling you." So I just wanted to get that out into the open that I just spent about 12 minutes discussing. My just insane paranormal supernatural theories about residual emotions being cast into the very mattress and blankets and bed, which in a way I suppose it makes sense, especially if you are familiar with like paranormal research and investigation. It's always like, "Oh, I sense something bad here." So that's typically, well, I guess it can go either way, because I was thinking it's either with the spiritual whatever entities that are there afterward, these otherworldly things, or it's from something that happened when someone was still alive and they're like, "Oh, a woman was brutally murdered here and you can still feel the fear in the air," something like that. Anyway, that's been Blake's paranormal parlay. I don't know. Speaking of very niche and specific topics on this podcast, Crow's Nest, caca! There's unfortunately no The Crow 2024 news. I couldn't find anything. It's opinion piece articles. There's one article which was like, oh, the soundtrack better not be shit, and hey, this movie looks lifeless. So no Crow news this week. I'm sorry, Crow heads. I know you're out there. I know what this segment means to you. But unfortunately, there's no Crow news. There is, however, news regarding 28 Years Later, a movie which I have repeatedly been bringing up ever since it was announced. Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes have apparently joined the cast for Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's going to be coming off the back of the titularly successful Kraven the Hunter film. Jodie Comer is coming from the... what's that movie? What the fuck is it? The Ryan Reynolds one where he's a video game character. That's the last thing I've seen her in. Ralph Fiennes, The Menu. Fucking incredible film. Favorite movie of 2023? 2022. When did that come out? I love that movie. So that's a great cast. I bet Ralph Fiennes is going to be either Jodie Comer's dad, or he is going to be some sort of military villain. just seems like what it's going to be. Superman and Lois, in an amazing segue, has wrapped filming with the final season releasing later this year. I never got into Superman and Lois. I never got into Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Is that what the 90s show was? I never got into Smallville. Never got into Supergirl. Never got into Flash. Never got into Arrow. That's what it was. Never cared once for any of the CW shows. Didn't watch Batwoman. Is there any other ones? Legends of Tomorrow. That one's the only one that seems good and that I've seen clips of. No episodes, though. But, hey, that's probably has something to do with DC's weird regulations where they refuse to have a Superman or a Batman be in a TV show while also being in a movie. And we know Superman's getting a new movie, so they gotta get rid of TV Superman. Production for Peacemaker Season 2 has officially begun. So James Gunn is working concurrently on the aforementioned Superman film and Peacemaker Season 2. He is going to direct a couple of the episodes, I think. Maybe 2 to 3 episodes. And then they have guest directors, other directors coming in to work on the project, which is fine. It's not like that's not what happened in the first season. If anything, it's probably going to be James Gunn directs the first one, he's going to direct the last one, and then he might do like one halfway through the season or something, or maybe he'll direct the first two or the last two, and then the first one, or something like that, the important parts, and then the other directors will be brought in to do the meat of the hamburger that is the Peacemaker Season 2. But I'm looking forward to it. I loved Peacemaker Season 1. I don't care that it is technically no longer canon, because, again, it's the same ordeal as with comics. When the universe is rebooted, just say it happened. Here's what you gotta do. Peacemaker Season 1, it all still happened, except at the end, either the Justice League didn't show up, or it's a different Justice League. Boom. You're done. Superman. James Gunn's Superman. More news regarding this finds Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent. Jonathan Kent will be played by actor Pruitt Taylor Vince, who I thought looked familiar, and then I had to look him up, and I realized that I know him from the best comic book television show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5. Not a great season, but it's still a fun season. It's not as bad as like Season 2, which was the Inhuman ones with Rita, the little hedgehog woman. Season 5 introduces Deke, one of the best characters of the show. Love Deke. Love Deke Squad. And season 5 is set in the far-flung future where the Kree-Skrull war kind of effort has destroyed Earth, and now the Kree are sort of like, they've colonized the chunk of Earth that remains. Or actually, no, it wasn't the Kree-Skrull. It was, what was it? See, I still can't snap. It was Gravitron, whatever his name was. Destroys Earth. Everybody thinks it's Quake, Daisy, but it's actually going to be him. Anyway, Pruitt Taylor Vince plays a very minor character in that show, is what this boils down to. He plays this gruff, sort of sleazy, like head of like a gang of guys who runs this like workshop on this asteroid base that the Kree operate, and he's kind of like a few levels higher than just the normal peons, so he has a little bit of sway, a little bit of knowledge. He can get some black market stuff in if you need it, but that is the only thing I know him from. I do not know who Neva Howell is, and she is set to play Martha Kent. They both look great, both look like fantastic versions of John and Martha. One thing I do hope is that they do not kill them off. I want Jonathan and Martha Kent to be alive, because I just think that's Superman deserves to have both of his parents be alive. Especially if we can get something similar to the Justice League cartoon where he goes back to visit for Christmas and they have to lead line his presents because he looks through them. Quentin Tarantino has dropped The Movie Critic as his final film. Tarantino's now canceled. The Movie Critic was said to include Brad Pitt, who is returning as Cliff Booth. The Movie Critic was based on a real film critic from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and I cannot remember her name, but you gotta take my word for it. And honestly, I'm okay with this, because I don't know how, like, is that really the movie you want to go out on? It just seems, I don't want something like Kill Bill. I don't want Kill Bill 3. I don't want something like Kill Bill 3, or like Kill Bill, or like Inglourious Bastards or something where it's just uber ridiculous. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hateful Eight. Those are my two favorite Tarantino films. If like the Movie Critic, it just seems in line with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but without all of the interest, because it is technically was going to be like a kind of biopic movie about a real person. Obviously, it was going to be in a Tarantino universe, so it'd be a little more hyper real, but I just don't know if that would have like really worked at all, because you're working with a real person, like I said, and I like, what story would you really tell about? Well, I guess it'd be her life, I suppose, or just her time in Hollywood, but I don't know if that really would have been the best way to, like, here's to his career, and it's The Movie Critic. Hopefully this doesn't mean that he just keeps coming up with, oh, this is my final movie. No, I don't want, no. Oh, well, that's my final movie. No. Hold on, let me go think about this while I look at some feet. No, that's going to be my fun. No. And then he dies. I hope that he doesn't just keep hopping from idea to idea and is actually able to settle on something that he's going to enjoy and really, makes a reason for it to be his final film. Again, it also says it's going to be his final film. It says nothing about limited television series. All right, here's some Disney Plus news. Disney Plus is apparently going to add channels. Yep. They will have a continuously scheduled stream of shows within specific genres like Marvel and Star Wars, among others, probably Discovery, Maybe they'll bring in the Hulu stuff for the overseas market. Children's cartoons. But this is just fractal cable. This is a fractal, which is, a fractal within a fractal within a... Just Google the word fractal and you'll see what I'm talking about. Streaming has become just new cable at this point. Like, when are they gonna... We already are at the point where each streaming service is its own thing. It's essentially its own cable channel. You have to, you need this package if you want these channels, and you want this package if you need those channels. And now it's just the same, where you need this streaming service if you want this show, and this streaming service if you want that show. They have just introduced sub-cable into new cable. It's just cable all the way down. TV channels within TV channels. Oh, I don't look forward to seeing where that's going. In more movie news, Transformers 1 released its trailer from a satellite thing that was sent into low orbit, high stratosphere sort of situation. I thought it was going to be... If you didn't see it, they live streamed it. They sent this, like, a weather balloon kind of thing up. And they had, like, a television on there with, like, the Transformers and Decepticon logos swapping back and forth. And it was live streamed. And there was, like, you could watch it. But what they did, I think that this was the wrong move. Because when they did... finally, like, the countdown was complete and they did show the trailer, they didn't show it on that screen. They switched to another screen. So say this is the main bit of the, like, weather balloon satellite thingy. Here's a screen on this side, and then there's a screen on the other side. This is the screen that had the little logo swapping back and forth in the countdown. Then they switched to a camera that was facing this way for the other screen, which was blank. And then they superimposed the trailer over top of it after the fact. Or, like, digitally. Like, they just quickly superimposed it over that video. Cowards. You should have just played the fucking trailer on that shitty resolution camera, pointed at a television in the atmosphere. I don't give a shit. I don't care about this movie. It's an origin movie about fucking Optimus Prime and Megatron. Why does Optimus Prime have an actual first and last name? Like, since when have Autobots or Decepticons or Cybertronians in general had a first name and a surname? Also, and why doesn't Megatron have one? Is he from a lower level? Is that what they're trying to imply? Is Optimus Prime like a prince? Or is he just from the upper echelons of society or something? Is that what they're going with? He's played by Chris Hemsworth. Megatron is played by somebody. Bumblebee is played by Keegan-Michael Key. RC is in it, the pink motorcycle lady Transformer. And she's, like, my favorite part of this trailer just because of the design. She just looks so fucking cool. I really dig RC in the trailer. Just a cool look, cool movements, cool action for that character. Neat, really well done. The other ones we've seen time and time again. Like, how many fucking times are we gonna have to watch Optimus Prime fucking run around with his big feet and Bumblebee be a little man? What else do I have to say about this? There are I wish I could remember what they're called, the big diamond-shaped dudes with green faces and little tentacles. That's my tentacle noise. They're going to be a part of this. Seemingly Unicron might be a part of it. I can't really remember the trailer. I watched it once. What else? Oh, there is a thing. So apparently they're establishing that transforming isn't a natural thing that Cybertronians can do. I don't know if this has been established in a previous continuity or if this is something brand new for the film. I'm taking this as something brand new for the film, which is the Cybertronians in this movie, the little gang of them that are hanging out. they are granted the ability to transform, which is, like I said, it's apparently not something everybody gets to do and they can't do naturally, which just brings into conversation a whole, like, what does that mean for their society? What does that mean for them as, like, a weird mechanical created race of beings? What I want to know. Can someone just make like a nature documentary about Cybertron? Because everything about them have always confused me. I want to know what the fuck they are. And if they can't transform naturally, then how are they able to transform at all? What does that do to their mechanical bodies? What does it imply about them? Transformers. I don't know. Where is it at? I have it up here somewhere. Transformers Armada, the complete collection. I need to get the 2 sequel series. I liked Transformers as a kid. I never cared for the live action movies too much. I liked the aforementioned Transformers Armada cartoon and the Energon and Unicron. Is that what the third one was? I can't remember. It was this weird kind of, I can't remember if it was 3D. I think it started as 2D and then it sort of shifted into 2D and sometimes 3D, and then there's a little bit more 3D, I think, in the 3rd season, maybe. It's been like 20-something years since I've watched it. But I would watch that before school every day, and I thought that was the coolest fucking thing. That was like my little soap opera stories, watching Starscream with his big-ass crown, trying to fucking fuck over Megatron or whatever and destroy the Autobots. I really dug it. I like the design. I love the purple and green fucking Dayglow Megatron tank. I really dug that show. It had the minicons. There you go. Little robots that. Here's another. If you want to get even more confusing, what if they introduced the minicons in that Transformers movie? Because the minicons are like a subspecies of. Minicons are a subspecies of Transformer Cybertronians, which the bigger ones can, like, insert into their bodies and get powerful, and, like, sometimes they, like, build new guns off of them or something. It's like if you grabbed a gibbon and you stuck it in your chest, or, like, you ate it and you absorbed its gibbon powers. Madness. Okay, now we are moving into comic book related news. Scott Snyder, this is a rumor that's been going around about Scott Snyder spearheading a new DC Comics line, which is rumored to be called Absolute Comics, parallel or similar to Marvel's Ultimate line, in which it revamps DC's iconic heroes. There's really no official announcement regarding this. This, again, is just rumors and hearsay and wild speculation. Absolute Comics isn't even, like, I don't know where they got that from, but sure, cool. Marvel's restarted their Ultimate Universe. Marvel and DC have always copied each other back and forth. Why not? DC, introduce your new Ultimate Universe. You had Earth 1. That fizzled out. So make your own. That'd be neat to see. I would enjoy that. They are, however, making something called Absolute Power, which kicks off with Absolute Power Free Comic Book Day Special Edition on May 4th, 2024, and will carry into the prelude with Absolute Power Ground Zero on June 25th, with the official 4-issue series launching July 3rd. The series features the Trinity of Evil, Brainiac Queen, Failsafe, and Amanda Waller, which aims to eliminate all metahumans in the DC universe. The combined powers of Failsafe and the Brainiac Queen have finally given Amanda Waller the ability to capture the powers of every metahuman, whether superhero or supervillain. As chaos erupts in the streets with a massive disinformation campaign which sways public opinion, the Suicide Squad commander methodically targets DC's most powerful superheroes and their allies. But despite all that, facing Superman, Wonder Woman, and the other DC metahumans, a resistance is forming, with Batman leading the charge. So I believe that mostly is by Mark Waid, so it's still going to be good. Because he's a good writer. But that just does not sound interesting to me. I haven't kept up. I know Amanda Waller was doing shit on Earth 3 or something with the crime syndicate, I think. That's the last I saw of her, is when she was invading, like, the multiverse or something, which is, it kind of does seem similar to when Marvel was leading up to Secret Wars, because in Hickman's X-Men, there's something buzzing around my face. In Hickman's X-Men, they were, like, they would lead up with, like, the incursions and shit that the Avengers, or I'm sorry, did I say Hickman's X-Men? I meant Avengers. Hickman's Avengers run, they were leading up with the incursions and stuff, and, like, there's that build-up. So is that true? Is this what is going to lead into, if it is real, DC's ultimate comic line, possibly called Absolute Comics? DC, of course, does own, they do the Absolute editions, so and this is called Absolute Power. Absolute Power corrupts absolutely. Get it? Like, is this going to some way lead into Amanda Waller, or probably somebody who betrays her, destroying the universe or creating their own universe? Who's Brainiac Queen, by the way? I don't know who the fuck Brainiac Queen is. It's a female version of Brainiac, but, like, what does that mean? Is Brainiac Queen from another universe? Failsafe, that's that dumb Batman villain. Yeah, I don't know where this could possibly lead. Honestly, I hope it leads into a new universe being created, and that being Absolute Comics, the alleged Absolute Comics universe, just because I think that's a cool idea. And while we're on the topic of Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Marvel, DC's Ultimate version, here's an idea that it just occurred to me the other day. And by the other day, I mean like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, when I wrote these notes. What if the Ultimate Marvel Universe, the Jonathan Hickman one, is going to be the basis of the MCU post Secret Wars Part 2? If you're familiar with comics, if you're familiar with the Ultimate Universe, and you're familiar with the MCU, you'll know how heavy of an influence the films took from the Ultimate Universe. So it stands to reason that since we have this whole new Ultimate Universe, that, oh, hey, look, it just kind of sprang up all of a sudden. Donny Cates, I think, was originally supposed to be the one to usher it in, but then, stuff happened with him. And so they got Jonathan Hickman, which I'm fine with that. I think Hickman's a better choice. But they bring that in. Oh, coincidentally enough, the MCU in just a couple of years is going to have its own reboot of the universe. And why not base it a little bit off of this? It worked the first time around. Why can't it work another time? I'm sure it won't be as just high concept, if you can call this Ultimate Universe that, as this new one is, the Hickman Ultimate Universe. It's not going to be like Brainiac enters this universe and fucking creates this global government or something, and it's like half of the characters are dead, and this and that. But hey, maybe Spider-Man's an older man. Maybe Tony and Howard Stark are still alive, and they're both alive, and they're both Iron Man. Maybe the Hulk is there, and he's calmed down now. Maybe Doctor Doom could do some stuff. But I think, hey, why wouldn't that make sense if they're looking at, like, all right, well, where the fuck do we go after we stop the universe and bring it back? Well, we've had the synergy we have with this new Ultimate Universe. So, they, here's the thing as well, is because X-Men is going to get introduced, and then X-Men is going to get wiped from existence because of the Secret Wars incursions. So, hey, we could reinvent the X-Men! That's just my personal little pet theory regarding the Ultimate Universe in the MCU going forward in the future. Kick-Ass creator Mark Millar has discussed his plans for a public domain Superman comic in 2033. Superman, as we all know, his appearance in Action Comics #1, the original, the cool, badass, fighter of the people Superman, who's gruff and takes no shit from nobody. He is going to the public domain in 2033 in 9 years. And, fuck it, I think it'd be easier to make a list of the people who don't have plans to make their own Superman projects when that happens. I know I got ideas. I got some stuff in mind that I'd like to do. Not necessarily specifically a Superman book, but hey, maybe there'll be a certain superhero that I came up with for the Custodians that may or may not have something to do with Superman in the next 9 years. But, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. I am down with that. Mark Millar, he wrote issues of the animated Superman comics, like late 90s, early 2000s, and they are great. Superman is, I talked all about it in Superman Red Sun. Check out that video if you haven't already. He loves Superman. It's like his favorite character. He understands what makes Superman Superman. He gets the arguments against the character, and he gets the arguments for the character, and he brings those together in a concise way, I feel, because he does love Superman. So he was supposed to come back to DC and make his, write a Superman series. Seemingly that's kaput, and he's just gonna wait 9 years to fucking make his own goddamn series, which, more power to you, Mark Millar. You are an inspiration just via entrepreneurship alone. My God, if I need to take notes and figure out just how to work the system like that and just get my own stuff out there. Just the blitzkrieg approach of comics making that Mark Millar does. It's probably a lot easier since he is just the writer. We also have the first look at Aliens vs. Avengers, a new comic series from Jonathan Hickman and artist Asad Ribic. Asad Ribic, if you're unfamiliar, is he was the artist who worked on the Jason Aaron's Thor series, which I also did a video of, the first volume, where he fights Gore the God Butcher. Beautiful painted style. Fantastic stuff. It's going to be gnarly to see. I honestly can't remember what the images were that they released. I feel like Iron Man is fighting a xenomorph. But that is releasing on July 24th, 2024. And who do we think is gonna be who's gonna get impregnated by a facehugger? I feel like Cap is the obvious option because the super soul. That's an interesting question. Answer this in the comments. If Cap is impregnated by a facehugger and the chest burster comes out, does that xenomorph have the super soldier serum in it? Or is it just going to be a normal person? Obviously, if that does happen, they're going to give it the super soldier serum. Just because that's a neat idea. But if we're just talking about, like, ideas, if we're just, fuck it, I don't know what the words I'm looking for. If we're not trying to write a story here, that's interesting. Would it have the super soldier serum? I guess it would, because it's just so intrinsically woven into his DNA. I suppose it would. Do you think a xenomorph from Captain America could wield Mjolnir? That's gonna be something, is that a xenomorph is gonna bleed, and it's gonna go onto Cap's shield. And, oh my God, what would happen? it's vibranium and adamantium, so I doubt anything. It's gonna be dripping down, and I don't know. He's gonna hold it over him like an umbrella, and it's just rain. Iron Man's probably gonna get fucked up from the acid blood. I can see that happening. I don't recall what Avengers are on this team. It'd be neat to see a little Ant-Man sort of duking it out with a chest burster. Maybe like riding it through the hallways like he's Paul Atreides or something. Who else? The Vision, if the Vision's there. The face... The Vision could... Here's what would happen. The Vision is standing in front of Captain America when a facehugger shoots out of an egg. And Vision dematerializes and it goes through his ghostly form and straight into Captain America's mouth. That's what we need, is a comedy Avengers versus Aliens book. Wolverine's not going to be in it, I don't think. I'm going to use my one Google just to see. Let's see, because we're wrapping this episode up. And again, we're not talking about Savage Dragon, I'm sorry. Captain Marvel's going to be there? Well, fuck, Captain Marvel's going to... Okay, if Captain Marvel's there, then I get the feeling that she's going to be the Ripley in this situation, which, you know, I'm fine with. It makes sense. She's a fucking powerhouse in and of herself, so... That does make sense. Black Panther might be involved, but that looks more like a variant. Plot synopsis. 4-part epic is set in a new timeline many years into the future and features older, grittier versions of Marvel characters. It also... blah, blah, blah. Wait, what? It also will be the first time readers will see certain parts of alien lore in the Marvel Universe, like the home of the Engineers. The Engineers are canon in this universe, which means that Jesus being an engineer is ostensibly canon in that universe. Let's see here. Does it fucking say who the goddamn Avengers are? No, that doesn't say anything. I guess it was just the cover. I think it's just the cover. Which, again, just features Iron Man, Captain America, in a just... Oh, his face looks so weird on this cover. Just look up Avengers vs. Aliens and you'll see his face looks so weird in this fucking cover. Yeah, I don't know what other Avengers there could be. A Wasp, but I feel like that's sort of similar to the Ant-Man idea. Hawkeye get fucked over pretty quickly, I'd imagine. Here's the thing, where's it going to be set at? Is it going to be set on a space station? Is it going to be set in the Avengers compound? That doesn't make sense. Although it might, if this is set into the future, maybe Stark Industries, Stark Tech, Stark International, whatever it's called now, bought out Weyland-Yutani, and Weyland-Yutani has a xenomorph, fucking thing. Body that they're testing on, and it gets sent to the Avengers mansion or the Avengers compound, and they're trapped there. I really hope they don't go... this cover looks like they're on a foreign planet, and like spaces in the background, which makes me worry that, I don't know, they took a Quinjet through space, and they arrive at the Engineers' home planet, and it's like destroyed. Is the No, that's a different planet. We never seen the... Have we? The Engineers' home planet? I don't think so. What else could happen? It's gonna end. Here's my big guess for how this ends. It's going to end with each Avenger being chest bursted and subsequently having a xenomorph Avengers team. What would happen if Iron Man got face hugged? Like, he has the mask off, gets it in his mouth. Where's the chest burster gonna go? Is it gonna shoot out through his arc reactor? Is it gonna... And you hear a ting as it hits its little head on the suit, and then it just... Oh, God, it'd be, like, crawling through his fucking suit, trying, like, squeeze out through his fucking... Oh, God, I don't like that. It might be good. I'm sure it will be. It's Jonathan Hickman, so it's crazy that I got Jonathan Hickman for such a gimmicky comic. But hey, I'm glad because this could be bad. But with Hickman on board, I imagine it's gonna be pretty good. And that brings us a wrap to this week's episode of the Comic Shtick Podcast. Let me know what you thought in the comments below about any of the things I discussed on here. 28 years later, that weird paranormal supernatural discussion I had at the beginning of the episode. Peacemaker Season 2, Superman, Tarantino's final film, Disney Plus's channels, Transformers 1. If you have any Transformers lore, let me know. Any thoughts on the rumored Scott Snyder-led DC Ultimate Universe? Can you tell me what the fuck Absolute Power event is? What is that about? Superman in public domain and Aliens versus Avengers. Join me next week where I hopefully get the time to discuss Savage Dragon. It happens every time I discuss a comic series on this show. I always have to push it back. But that has been this week's episode. Again, check out my Patreon, check out my Etsy shop, and follow me on Instagram @NotBlakeWild, and I will see you next time. Bye!